Hello students, I hope you are all doing well. It's your professor, Justine Hecht. It's great to be here with you. I just wanted to hop on here. I think a video is maybe a little bit easier to kind of explain the next steps of your submissions for a People's Guide to Arizona. And so I'm just going to take a few minutes to go through both the rough draft aspect and then the photos that you are supposed to gather as well. And so let me actually start over here. You did just turn in your midterm exams, right? And when they weren't exams, they were annotated bibliographies. With you guys had an introduction, right? A couple classes doing this. Yeah, okay, so yours was just the annotated. Good, yes, so you had the annotated bibliography. And I did get that back and graded to you, so if you had any questions, do let me know. The next step are these two pieces right here, and so you'll see these under the Module 9 Race and Ethnicity module. You'll also see them basically popping up continually until each item is due, so that way you just kind of have it right there to kind of remind you of what you should be working on, right? And so the first thing here is this group photo assignment. This is going to be due in Module 11 on April 2nd. So let me pull it up here. And so this is pretty, this is a creative aspect of your assignment, basically. And so I would like for you to gather at least one photograph or image that reflects the site you are studying. And so this might be where you actually go down to the site and take pictures of it to include in your final submission. You can also create your own imagery as well. And so you could, if you wanted to use something like Canva, that's this website right here, not Canvas, Canva. It's a digital art creation platform that's very user-friendly and also free. You could make your own, you could make your own cartoon, you could make your own, just some kind of piece of digital art, you could do a poem, you could write a song, right? You could have, include like an interview or something, some kind of creative piece. Poetry, music, comic strip, anything like that, imagery, right? Some kind of creative piece that you're going to couple with each site. So say, for example, you're researching Palabra's bookstore in downtown Phoenix. Maybe you want to create an image of like books that represent diversity or something like this, right? And then for your second site, maybe you're doing uranium mining in the Grand Canyon. And so maybe for that one, you want to bring in a protest poster from an indigenous organization that's been protesting uranium mine in the Grand Canyon, something like that, right? You're also welcome to find a piece online. If you find another creative work online, you're welcome to include that in your as your creative piece for this as well. You just want to make sure you cite it, right? Because that's somebody else's creation and you want to make sure you're giving proper credit to that creator. And so I don't think April 2nd is Sunday, but it is due by April 2nd. Don't listen to that. April 2nd by 11:59 p.m. right? And so that's this piece. And then you're also going to have the rough draft for your submissions due in Module 12. So let me just go ahead and open that. Oops, go away. Exit drawing. Oh my goodness. Okay, so hold on. There we go. Okay, so the next piece is going to be writing up your rough draft. And so this is where I'm not looking for a summary of what your sources have to say. I don't care about that. What I'm looking for is what have you learned that's new from looking at these sources together. So I'll talk about that more in just a second here. But your rough draft is designed to, or you should be working with your rough draft to answer this set of questions here, okay? So what local issues does the organization or event address? And how does the organization or event address these local issues? So these are just like really informative, kind of like the who, what, when, where, and why of the organization. And then this aspect down here, how does the event or organization reimagine Arizona society? This is where you start to construct your own argument, right? You're looking at the event or the organization and how they sought to create some kind of change. And you're thinking through, okay, how does this change society in Arizona? What would this make different? So for example, if you're looking at Sex Workers Organizing Project and their work to support Monica Jones, who had been arrested and targeted as a sex worker because she was a Black trans woman. That's a very short gist of that. One group is doing that project, so you can read about it once we get to the end of the semester. But say that you're looking at her case, right? And again, she was a Black transgender woman, targeted, profiled as a sex worker because of her social identity. And so one of the things that they were trying to do, the Sex Workers Organizing Project then was trying to do, was first make sure that Monica didn't end up incarcerated, and then also drawing into question the law that enabled her to be arrested in the first place, and the program that had enabled her to be arrested in the first place. And so when you talk about that, you might be talking about they wanted to abolish that program, they wanted to change that law. How would this change the experience of Black transgender women in Arizona, basically, right? Like, what differences do they want to see in our society? Okay. Oh, and I got to fix this here. So you're going to be using whatever your resources were that you did for your annotated bibliography. That's what you'll be working through. Remember, you're also going to submit your rough draft to the Writing Center. And so when you submit your rough draft to the Writing Center, when you get your rough draft to Canvas on April... Oh, shoot, I messed that up for you. So April 2nd is when your rough drafts are due, and the group photos are due April 5th, excuse me. So April 2nd, your rough drafts are due, group photos due April 5th. And when you submit your group rough draft on April 2nd, at that time, I want you to go ahead and just submit your work to the Writing Center as well. And I will include instructions on how to do that under module. Oh, they're already here. Yes, I already did that. So here's instructions under module 12 about how you can access those. So I will move these up though, so you can access them starting now and in module 11 as well. Okay. Okay. So when I am talking about not wanting a summary, but wanting a synthesis, I want you to have a sense of what I mean by this. Now, this is a new skill, something that you'll be taught about in your English classes, and so you're just kind of being introduced to it here. You probably have some experience with this, even if it's just minuscule, right? So basically, a synthesis is not a summary. It's not a report on your sources. You're not telling me, okay, this AZ Central article said X, Y, and Z. This academic article said, you know, A, B, and C, or whatever, right? Right? That's not what you're telling me. Instead, to synthesize your research, to write your rough draft, it means to take pieces of something and to bring them together in a way that forms a whole. It shows the relationship between sources. You are the group, in this case, who is identifying the relationship. So how do your sources relate to each other? How do they answer questions that you have about whatever your research topic is, right? So this means that you're going to have to discuss your annotations with your group members. Right now, I am pretty sure, because I asked my in-person class this too, and this is what they shared with me, and so I would be surprised if it's very different for you all. But when you did your annotated bibliography, my guess is that most of you assigned 2 people to one organization, 2 people to another organization, or event, whatever it might be. And then the 2 people who did organization A, maybe they did like 2 sources and 3 sources. They divided it by 2 and 3 between each person. And then the group that did, or the people who did organization B, you know, one person researched 2 sources, another person researched 3 sources, or however many sources are required, right? And likely you have no idea what your peers researched. Yeah, so it might be an exception for a few of you, but right, my guess is that you do not know what each other found or what each other researched. That's going to make it really difficult to write a collective draft together, right? And so you need to be in what you need to be doing now, or would be useful for you to be doing now rather, is reviewing your annotations with your group, right? And so every group member should read the annotations. All of them, the ones that you wrote and the ones that your peers wrote, right? And what I want you to start thinking about is what ideas are presented. How do these resources help you to understand who is impacted? What impressions do your sources leave you with regarding your particular event, right? Sometimes a useful tool here is to think about what questions do my sources bring up for me? And then how do my other sources help me answer that question? That can really help you think through how to write up your rough draft, okay? So you are also looking to think about what sociological concepts are present, right? And so you might find, say you're looking at United Campus Workers of Arizona, which is a labor union in Arizona, labor union at ASU, U of A, and Northern Arizona University for higher education workers. So say you are looking at that, right? You might utilize the concept of stratification, for example, to help you understand your movement and how it's trying to transform society. So for example, if stratification illustrates that our society is unequal and that some people have more access to social goods, more access to wealth than others do, and that it's the result of social policy more than anything else, right? Then United Campus Workers, by pushing for, increased wages for higher education workers, increased benefits for graduate student workers, whatever it might be, right? How are they working to transform that experience of stratification, right? So you might find that the sociological concept is what allows you to kind of connect all of your sources together. How do your sources help you understand how that concept is playing out here in Arizona? Okay. Okay, yes. And so that's synthesis. It's it's one of those things I'm looking actively for more ways to teach this because it is a kind of abstract idea. And so you really just kind of have to get in there and do it, right? Talk to each other. What themes are coming up? The most successful groups, I promise you, are the ones that talk to each other more often. That doesn't mean it's impossible to be successful if you have to limit conversation because you're busy, right? The key is consistent and open conversation, okay, and communication broadly. Refer back to your communication agreements. Now is the time to go back to those, see if they're working, and see if anything needs to change. Okay, and then the other thing, excuse me, on this last piece, last part of the slide is just the organization, how I expect you to turn in the rough draft, right? And so you'll see I want the title for each entry and a reference page for each entry. I think you guys only have 4 sources, so it's different because my in-person class is an honors class. Whatever your total number of sources is fine. I think it's 4 for you guys, but this is how to cite the lectures. So if you want to do a lecture for the reference page, this is the one. And if you want to do an in-text citation, this is what that would look like. Okay. And then this is what your write-ups would look like. So you have one write-up for organization A. In this case, I'm using United Campus Workers of Arizona as an example. You would put the title of your organization or the event, whichever one you're working with, up top, and then you will include your write-up, your 350 to 500 word rough draft. And then under the rough draft, you will include a reference page. References should be centered, and then you will include each of your citations, and they should be in alphabetical order, okay? All right, I think that is it. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. As always, posting your questions in the community forum is a great idea. That way everybody can benefit from my response. And I am excited. I was very impressed with your annotated bibliographies. So I think that this is going to go very well, and I look forward to seeing what all of you are learning. Okay, folks, take care. I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.